Have you ever been in a really high-stakes situation and just felt that knot of pressure in your stomach? You know, like a big presentation, a final exam, or maybe a crucial game. We've all been there, wondering about that super fine line between being energized for the challenge and being completely overwhelmed by it.
So that brings us to the big question, right? To really truly hit your peak performance, is it better to be more nervous or more relaxed? It feels like it should be a simple choice. You either pump yourself up or you try to calm yourself down. But is it really that black and white?
Well, as it turns out, the real answer isn't a simple yes or no. Psychology tells us it's actually way more nuanced than that. The most crucial part is the degree of tension you're feeling. Because you see, not all stress is created equal.
And hey, this isn't just a hunch or some pop psychology. It's actually a well-established principle. There's a name for it, and it's called the Yerkes-Dodson law. Let's dive into the science behind this idea.
So what exactly is the Yerkes-Dodson law? Basically, it's a classic principle that says a moderate amount of tension, a little bit of stress, actually helps your performance. But, and this is the really important part, once that tension becomes excessive, your performance starts to take a nosedive. The best way to picture it is like a curve, or an upside-down U.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool in theory, but what does it actually feel like? What do these different levels of tension look like in the real world? Let's break it down.
All right, let's start at the bottom of the curve, light tension. This is that feeling of being just a little bit on, but in a good way. You're more focused, you're alert, and your reactions are just a bit quicker. This state is fantastic for simple or really well-practiced tasks, things you can almost do on autopilot. Now, let's move up to that middle ground, moderate tension. Okay, this is the sweet spot. This is the peak of the curve. Your concentration is laser-focused, your motivation is through the roof, and this is where your problem-solving abilities are at their absolute best. This is what it feels like to be in the zone. But if we push past that peak, we slide down the other side into high tension, and this is where things can go wrong. This is when anxiety starts to take over. Your mind might just go blank, your thoughts get chaotic, and you start making silly mistakes. For any kind of complex task that requires clear thinking, this level of stress is a total performance killer.
Let's make this super concrete with a real-world example I think we can all relate to. Taking a test.
Think about a small, low-stakes quiz. A little bit of nervousness before that is actually a good thing, isn't it? It makes you take it seriously, you focus a little harder on the questions, maybe even double-check your answers. That light tension actually sharpens your performance. Now let's contrast that with a huge, life-changing exam. If you are extremely nervous for that, what happens? Maybe your hands start to shake, your mind goes completely blank, and all of a sudden you can't solve problems that you knew how to do just yesterday. That's the perfect example of excessive tension wrecking your performance. You've gone way over the peak of that curve and are now sliding down the other side.
So after looking at the theory and a real-world example, it all really boils down to one simple but incredibly powerful idea. You could call it the golden rule for performance.
And here it is. Moderate tension is a help. Excessive tension is a hindrance. The goal isn't to get rid of stress entirely. The goal is to manage it, to find that productive, energized middle ground where stress is actually working for you, not against you.
And that, of course, leaves us with the most important question of all. Now that you know this sweet spot exists, how do you find your optimal state? Learning to recognize when you're moving from helpful pressure into harmful panic, that's the real first step to mastering your own performance.